Welcome to the Audio Inc. Radio podcast, featuring interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal. Hosted by Anne Erickson.
Get inked. Visit Facebook.com/Audio Inc. Radio, Twitter.com/Audio Inc. Radio, and AudioIncRadio.com for more ink. Whew, that's a lot of ink. It's AudioIncRadio.com.
I always have a great time with you. Thank you, as always, for rocking out with me and hanging out with me on the podcast. It's Anne Erickson. Hope you're doing well. It has been a crazy year, and I think that everyone is pretty much ready to be done with it. I mean, it hasn't all been bad, but when it comes to live music, it's been not much live stuff out there. I mean, a few drive-in shows and stuff like that, but no real in-person, shoulder-to-shoulder, moshing, all that kind of stuff. Nothing. But the great news, we have new music out from a ton of amazing bands. One band that has a new EP on the way, Walk the Sky 2.0, the one and only Alter Bridge, which I know that lots of people love Alter Bridge. I'm a big Alter Bridge fan. I was a big Creed fan back in the day. They're one of the first rock bands that I really ever got into. One of my first shows, I have a few first shows that I've actually talked about on the show here, but one of the early shows that I went to with my mom was Three Doors Down, Seven Dust, and Creed. I don't remember the year. Maybe 99, maybe 2000, something around there. But I had such a great time, and Creed was one of the first rock bands that I ever got into. My Own Prison, I still think, is a great, just groundbreaking rock record. That said, when Alter Bridge came on the scene, I had to check them out, and I immediately fell in love. I think that they brought a really fresh, just awesome vibe to the rock scene, because you've got Mark Tremonti on guitar, who of course is incredible, one of the greatest guitarists out there. Then you got a killer rhythm section with Scott Phillips and Brian Marshall, and Miles Kennedy on vocals. He has one of the most beautiful tenor voices in rock music. So Alter Bridge, I really think they brought something different and unique to the game, and they're still rocking it today. They've got Walk the Sky 2.0 out on November 6th. And basically this features a bunch of live cuts of tracks from Alter Bridge's Walk the Sky album, which came out last year, plus a brand new track called Last Rites, which this set is really cool because, first of all, the live performances on here were taken this year. So right before everything shut down. These are the newest, freshest Alter Bridge performances that you'll find anywhere. Plus, that track Last Rites is an awesome track. It is a great rock song, and it was almost on Walk the Sky, but the guys were kind of a little bit stuck with it, kind of put it to the side, and then when COVID struck and they were all sitting around, they decided, let's bring this back out. Let's make this the song that we all know it can be. Very excited to have Scott Phillips on the show, who is an amazing drummer. I've interviewed him once before and always just have a great time talking with him. Not to mention that it's really cool to get a drummer on, because a lot of times I talk with vocalist or guitarist, but it's great to get a drummer on. And I'm a bass player, so I've got that rhythm drum connection with Scott. We're going to talk about basically what he and everyone have been up to during this wild year, and we'll talk about the new record and what's on the way. Also, is Creed, are they ever going to reunite? I'm going to ask him that because I know a lot of people are always wondering about that. It's Anne Erickson. As always, it's great to hang out with you. And don't forget that if you have not yet, please subscribe wherever you rock out to podcast. And if you haven't yet, you are in big trouble with me. Just search Audio Inc. Radio or search my name, Anne Erickson, wherever you rock out to podcast. Hit subscribe, leave a 5-star review. I definitely appreciate all of the amazing support. Also, I would love to personally hear from you, so hit me up online. Shoot me a message on Facebook and Twitter at Audio Inc. Radio, or my personal stuff. you can find at itsmeanne.com. That's itsmeanne.com. itsmeanne.com. Just head there. You can link up with me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. And my direct link to Snapchat and Twitter is at Anne Erickson. Finally, check out my band, Upon Wings, at uponwings.com, female-fronted metal music. And new stuff on the way. It might actually be out by the time this podcast publishes. I'm not sure. So check it out, uponwings.com. Without further ado, we've got Scott Phillips from Alter Bridge.
Hey, what's up? This is Scott Phillips from Alter Bridge. You are listening to Audio Inc. Radio with Anne Erickson.
Hey, Scott. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm hanging in. It's a crazy year, but you know.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So it's great to talk with you. How are you and the Alter Bridge guys holding up with the crazy year with COVID and everything?
It's certainly been interesting for, obviously for everybody. This was not the summer we had planned, not the album cycle that we had planned, but everybody seems to be doing fine. I think we're trying to make the most of all of this free time that we've been unexpectedly given. I think for a lot of us, it started with housework that we've been putting off for years and years and years. That little things needed to get done around the house that I finally started to take care of. I know Mark was doing the same thing. He and I were comparing our jobs, pressure washing. But we're all holding up pretty good. I think we're starting to kind of see some light at the end of the tunnel. It's going to be still a while before we can really get back together and have people gather safely and get a chance to perform again. But there is a plan and sort of a very loose timetable, and hopefully that'll all come to fruition sooner than later.
Yeah, we all hope so. And it's really exciting that you have the Walk the Sky 2.0 EP on the way. So tell me what gave you guys the idea for doing a release like this?
Well, I think it was kind of twofold. It was we got completely shut down as a band, and wanted to try and keep fans interested and just get some new stuff out there for people that are obviously going through everything that we're going through. So it was kind of a treat for everybody else to do some live versions of songs that were already on Walk the Sky, and then the idea to do Last Rites, which is a completely new song that was kind of born during the writing session for Walk the Sky, but never really got its feet off the ground at the time. And then all of a sudden, with all of us having an awful lot of time on our hands, decided, hey, why don't we go ahead and finish that song? Because the idea of it was really cool. I think the general vibe of that song and the riff itself was cool enough to finish. So Mark and I are very fortunate that we happen to A, live pretty close to each other, and then B, pretty close to Michael Elvis Basquette, who's our producer. So with his schedule becoming wide open as well, since a lot of bands that he had coming in were no longer able to travel, then we were all able to go over there and knock out our parts pretty quick. And have Miles, who was in Spokane, Washington, and unable to travel, but record his parts in his studio at his house and be able to send it back to Elvis and get the song put together. And I think we're all really happy with the way that it turned out. Sort of a nice surprise for people that have been following us for a while to kind of get a brand new song out of the blue.
I know it is a nice surprise. So the track was written kind of during the Walk the Sky sessions, but then you guys recorded it formally, like during COVID?
Correct.
Tell me about what is it about that track that you guys wanted to bring that one out and officially release it?
Well, I think, and at the time that we were sort of initially working on it, there wasn't really a vocal melody or lyrics. It was just the idea of the riff itself, which all of us really liked. It just felt different than everything else that we were working on with Walk the Sky, which at the time just seemed like, well, maybe we'll set it aside and use it for, an idea later on, or another album, or, something just different stylistically than where Walk the Sky looked like it was heading. So we didn't finish it, recorded Walk the Sky, released it as it is. And then having this downtime, and, our manager, Tim, had mentioned it. He was like, what about that one song you guys had worked on? What do you think about finishing it up and releasing it? Which seemed like a good idea. I think the four of us really liked the song itself. And I was excited to hear it with, vocals and lyrics and, see what it really could become. Because that wasn't present when we, first started tinkering with the idea. So I think it turned out really, really cool. It's certainly, to me, a different vibe than things we've done in the past, which I think makes it unique, and hopefully everybody will like it.
And then the live cuts on this EP, they're from actually shows this year, right? Before the COVID lockdown?
Correct, yeah, from the run that we did in February. So it sort of started with Shiprocked. We finished in Spokane, and then the whole world stopped. But we somehow were smart enough to record a bunch of those shows along the way. And since that, so basically we record every night. Our front of house guys able to record directly into the mixing board that we use, and then take those tracks, bounce them to the computer, and was able to send those to Elvis, and basically let him have his pick of which nights he thought were the better performances, mix them up, and would send them to us for approval. I think everybody was really happy with the way that they turned out. I think it's always, to me as a fan, and I love doing it as well. I do it with a lot of bands that I'm into. But it's always fun to, watch songs that you hear that you're able to layer and process and do multiple takes of in the studio, and then put out this sort of finished, polished product, and then hear how a band translates that live. And it's always the bands that I feel like have, that are able to do that well that I really gravitate towards. And I'm happy that I think a lot of these songs sound good. I feel like they're good performances. It represents the band and what we do live really well.
Yeah, and you guys are known for being a great live band, so it's definitely cool to get some new live stuff from you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So have you guys been working at all on the follow-up to Walk the Sky, new music or anything because of the lockdown in addition to the EP?
At this point, everybody's kind of taken this time to sort of work on solo stuff, which, obviously Marcus Tremonti and Miles, who was working on his follow-up to his debut solo record. They're sort of in that mode now. I've got a side project called Projected with John Connolly and Vinnie Hornsby from Seven Dust, and then Eric Friedman from Tremonti. We've done a few albums together, never had a chance to really promote it or tour it, but we managed to find time this summer to get the studio and do a new Projected record. Miles has just finished up recording his solo record. Mark is currently finishing up writing his solo stuff that he'll start recording here I think within the next month or so, depending on what Elvis's schedule is. But I think they're taking this time to go ahead and do the heavy lifting on those projects now, so that after Alter Bridge is able to start back up again and do whatever touring we can do next year, as soon as we get, to sort of wrap up that album cycle, they can immediately get into their solo stuff and, promote it and, tour it, which in effect, hopefully we'll get Alter Bridge back together and working on new material sooner than later, because they've done all sort of the writing and recording for that now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, well, I think I'm hopeful that we're shooting for probably 2022, not next year, but the year after, as being a new album for Alter Bridge. But we'll just kind of have to wait and see what the future holds.
I was actually going to ask about Projected. I heard that you guys finished recording the new record, so any word on when that'll come out and kind of what to expect?
I'm hopeful that it'll be out this fall. I think that's kind of the plan, though I know Seven Dust is releasing a new album very soon as well. I'm not exactly sure what the release date is, and I know that John would not want to convolute those two together or have,
right,
one get in the way of the other. I think musically and album-wise, this is probably my favorite one that we've done. The other two, or three technically, the last one was kind of a double album. They've been awesome. I love doing it. We've never had a chance to promote it at all. When it comes to playing live, there's always sort of a Alter Bridge schedule versus the Seven Dust schedule versus a Tremonti schedule, and at least one of those bands seems to be working all the time. So we've never had a chance to get the four of us together and really promote it properly, like the way that we should. Go out and do a tour and get in a van and go play some dive bars and stuff like that, whatever it is. So I'm hopeful that maybe this time, especially now that everybody's schedule's kind of been thrown into a tailspin, that there might be some opportunity to really properly promote that band, because we certainly have a lot of fun doing it. So I'd like to be able to share that with everybody else.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm excited. I as soon as I know a little bit more about it, I'll be a little more vocal about promoting it and let people know when it's going to be available.
So you're a drummer, obviously, and I know it's a different genre, but I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on Frankie from Quiet Riot passing away, because he was such a celebrated drummer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that truly sucked. I mean, Quiet Riot was such a giant part of, that sort of early 80s rock sound movement. Who, it's before I even thought about the drums themselves. I started playing kind of late. I was 18 when I finally picked up a pair of sticks and really started to pursue that as my instrument. But yeah, Quiet Riot was such a part of that sound, that early 80s, thinking of electric guitars and spandex and, big reverb on drums. And to me, Quiet Riot is sort of that quintessential band. So yeah, it's very, very sad to hear of his passing. And it was Kevin who passed away years ago. Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
So that's, multiple members from a band, which is sad. That kind of sort of starts to signal an end of an era.
Right.
So, yeah, I was heartbroken to hear about that.
And I was also wondering, a few months ago, Creed updated their social media with a classic photo, and people were going crazy and speculating about a reunion. So I'm sure you remember that. I was wondering, is there anything like that on the table at all down the road?
I didn't know that had happened. That's interesting.
Oh.
I'm the worst when it comes to social media. I go through phases where I'm into it for about 2 days, and then I don't pick it up for about 2 months. But that being said, there's always talk every now and then of the possibility of us getting back together and doing some stuff. We're all in a good spot right now. Where we feel like we have a good relationship with amongst the four of us. Obviously, Mark and Brian and I are in the same band together. But Scott seems to be doing really, really well. And there's some dialogue. We tend to check up on each other when it's birthdays and holidays, things like that. So there has been some chatter, and there's no specific timetable for anything or no specific plans, but it's a possibility down the road. We'll just kind of let it play out naturally and see what happens.
Awesome. And with the holidays on the way, what is your favorite Christmas tradition?
Oh, man. Let's see. So every year, Christmas can tend to be a little bit different from year to year, depending on what we're doing as a band. There's some years that we're home, plenty of time to do shopping and put up Christmas trees and, decorate the house and assemble gifts at 2 a.m. the night before, Christmas morning, that kind of thing. And then there's, I think this last year, we didn't get home until December the 23rd. So it was a scramble to, and that was flying home from Europe. So basically had, like the night of the 23rd and whatever I could fit in on the 24th to do as much shopping as possible. So I will say every year since probably about 1999 or 2000, and I've been slack about it the last few years, but my wife and I always sit down and watch Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase together.
That's great.
And that's always been the staple movie that I find every year. That's my Christmas go-to is Clark Griswold and Christmas Vacation.
That is awesome. My family, we always watch It's a Wonderful Life, which at this point, I'm kind of sick of it, honestly. I've seen it so many times.
I'm sure. You got A Wonderful Life, and then you've got like A Christmas Story, Christmas Vacation.
All the big ones, all the classics.
What else? There's always like another one or two that are like on loop constantly. But
like Elf or something.
There's always one of them that's depending on from family to family, that's like their go-to necessity.
Perfect. Well, is there anything else you'd want to add?
No, I think that pretty much covered everything, as long as you're good.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for making the time, and stay safe. Looking forward to you guys being on the road again.
Absolutely. You do the same. We certainly appreciate the support, and hopefully we'll see you sooner than later.
Very awesome to talk with Scott Phillips from Alter Bridge. Thank you for being an amazing guest on my show. Very cool that the guys have that new EP, Walk the Sky 2.0, which features something that we all miss and really, really want right now, which is live music. Live versions of 6 different tracks from Alter Bridge's Walk the Sky record, plus that all-new track, Last Rites, which, first of all, what an epic title, right? I mean, you can tell from that title that this is going to be an epic song, and I've heard it. It is a great Alter Bridge song. It gets 2 thumbs ups from me. If you could see me here in the studio, I'm giving 2 thumbs ups. It's Anne Erickson. As always, it's great to rock with you. I hope that you're having an awesome fall. Fall is actually my favorite season. I love the colors on the trees, and Halloween. You know I love Halloween, which I really wanted to do it up big with a costume for Halloween and do the whole cherry pie cover thing, because if you heard my interview with Robert Mason from Warrant, we talked about how I should be the cherry pie girl on the cover of that record for Halloween. But I did not do it this year because there's nowhere to go. Don't really want to go out to the bar right now or do a big do up on Halloween when everything is kind of still shut down. But in any case, I'm still dressing up at home, that sort of thing, because it is Halloween and I have to do something fun for it. But hope you're having a great fall. Hard to believe that we are almost through the year. God willing, we'll make it through to the end, because what a crazy time, right? I mean, it has been a wild year like none we've ever seen. And I just hope and pray that next year is much better when it comes to live music, because I am ready for an in-person, fun, up close and personal live concert. I am beyond ready for that. And, it is fall. So as always, I've got my candy corn here in the studio, far away from all the radio equipment to be responsible and that sort of thing. But hanging out with you, talking about rock and metal music, eating my candy corn is pretty much a perfect moment. So thank you for being here. It's Anne Erickson. And if you don't yet, I want you to subscribe right now. Just very easy. Search Audio Inc. Radio or search my name, Anne Erickson, wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave a 5-star review. Link up with me on my personal socials at the website itsmeanne.com. That's itsmeanne.com. Itsmeanne.com. You can link up on my personal Facebook. Shoot me a message. Say hey. My Twitter and Snapchat is at Anne Erickson. And finally, if you haven't yet, check out my band, Upon Wings, at uponwings.com. Female fronted metal. Very excited that I actually have a guest vocalist who was on my show this year. They are on the new Upon Wings track. That's a little hint for you if you haven't seen who it is yet. But they were on my show. They were actually on my YouTube video show. So if you're listening on exclusively Apple Podcast or Spotify, they weren't on there, but they were on YouTube with me and on my YouTube video music show. So very excited. I hope that you dig it. That is on the way. Other than that, audioinkradio.com for more fun. That's INK like Tattoo Ink. audioinkradio.com. Until next time, be safe, God bless, and we'll rock soon.
It's Audio Inc. with Anne.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Audio Inc. Radio Podcast. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Get inked online at audioinkradio.com. I'm Anne Erickson for the Audio Inc. Radio Podcast.